Welcome to the Digital Forester podcast, where we speak to forestry leaders and innovators who are shaping the future of forestry. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Digital Forester podcast. Today I'm joined with Anton Holmström. He's the Director of Commercial Operations for Southeast Asia and Pacific. Anton, how are you doing today?
Hi, good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So this will be a fun one because we were just kind of joking with each other at the start. Technology is amazing. We can do these types of calls today and around the world. So where am I reaching you right now?
Yeah, so you're reaching me in Jakarta, where I'm located for some months now. We're setting up our company, I'm taking care of our company, the local company here. Yeah.
Right. So for those listeners who may be geographically challenged, Jakarta is in Indonesia. And
Yeah.
hopefully I got that right. Otherwise, that will be very
Yeah,
embarrassing.
since, what is it, 2 months ago, considered to be the biggest city of the world, like
Yes.
43 million people or something. So it's huge.
Yes.
Being a forester
Yes.
in the world's biggest city is quite strange feeling, I can say.
Yes, I remember seeing an article about that and describing the magnitude, the size of Jakarta. And I didn't realize it was that big. So for our listeners who may not be as familiar with Katam Technologies and what they do in your work, how would you describe what you do in Katam in terms of your role and your background? You know, you have quite the journey, but maybe to start things off, introduce us to who Katam is and what you do there.
Yeah, so Katam is a Swedish company. We're 10 years this year, actually. It started out, um, I normally explain that Katam is a forestry technology company. We're not a technology company, but a forestry technology company. We know both forestry and deep core AI, mathematical technologies, um, and combining them to create something good. And we started like basic forestry inventory technology solution. But we are evolving more and more as time go and you learn more about the real problems in the industry. So my background is that I came in as a forester. I've been working in the Swedish forestry for some 20, yeah, more than 20 years. And I came into the company when it was very young and it was a core technology core company, so to say. So when I came in, we bridged the technology with the forestry knowledge, really. Um, and at that time, I was working a lot with drones, how to implement drones in the Swedish forestry, in the whole of the industry. So a lot of my time at that time was on how to use drones for forestry. Um, and then over time it has evolved. So today I can say I'm not working so much with technology or forestry, really. I mean, not on the development side, but more on meeting the customers and implementing, helping the customers, bridging the gap. Yeah, helping them to transfer from old traditional methods into the new digital way of doing forestry and forestry management, really.
Right.
Yeah.
I always chuckle when I speak to people like you because it's almost like nonchalant, like, oh yeah, I kind of did this and that. It's not a big deal, and this is what I'm doing now. But if we go back and maybe just think
Yeah.
about the Swedish forestry work, if my research is accurate, when you started working with drones, this was early days. They had two of them, and
Yeah.
once you were finished with building the program for them, correct me if I'm wrong, but they had 75 of them and you had 150 trained operators or something to that scale.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. And I assume that was not a overnight thing and an easy thing because we were dealing with technology and change management. And any thoughts in terms of that, thinking back to some of the lessons there and how they translate to what you do now as you work with Katam customers in the Southeast Asia and Pacific area?
Mm. Yeah. So yeah, that's really interesting actually, because what I realized more and more, actually, what I do most is psychology now. Technology is one thing, but getting people to start using technology is not about the technology; it's about psychology. And the first time I encountered a drone in the industry was I was out doing a work for an 80 years old forest owner, um, doing more than a week of inventory on his land. And he told me, he met me so many times in the forest, driving his car, chasing me, and said, "I've already checked this with a drone. You should check my videos instead." And I just rejected him like a crazy old person. Like, you can't use drones. You need to walk and see stuff. Um, but I told him at the final day, I just told him, yeah, just send me the videos and I will have a look. And I thought that was an easy way of getting rid of him. When I came back 1 hour later at the office, he sent me a YouTube link. So this old guy has actually been flying the drone, uploading it to YouTube. So for me, it was like realizing I, as a young person, didn't own a drone, never seen drone footage from forestry, and I especially didn't upload forestry data to YouTube. And here was an 8 years old guy doing this. So it was a slap in my face that I'm missing out something. Checked the link, checked the footage, and I immediately could make force a decision based on the video I saw. So I just shouted out loud, rushed into my manager, and told him I want to buy a drone. I showed him the video, and he agreed, yeah, buy one. So the next day, it was already delivered. I started to fly drone. 2 days later, we ordered one more. And based from that, working for the forestry agency, I was headhunted into making sure that the whole forestry industry of Sweden should start using drone as fast as possible. So I changed from doing forestry inventory to actually doing change management for the whole of Swedish industry, using how to use drones. And this was in 2014, 2015. So yeah,
Wow. Wow.
it's
So,
amazing to actually realize that that journey is quite amazing experience.
yeah.
It's yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You're there in the early days, right? And you're able to affect that change in typically a sector that is slow to adopt technologies. And we'll just conveniently forget it was an 80-year-old person that
Yeah,
showed you the way. We'll just say maybe it was some other young person, right, versus an 80-year-old
yeah, but
person there.
I
So,
think I think this is really important to think about or realize that when you talk about technology, it's not the technology, it's about the adaptation, how to use it. And what this old guy, I mean, normally we say old people don't want to use new technology. It's always the young kids, all right? But young people want to use technology because of technology. But when an old person uses the technology, it's because there is a need, there is a problem, there is a pain, and they see that, oh, they don't care about the technology, but they can see, oh, this solves my problem. So they start using it. They don't think about the technology. It's just, this is solving my problem. And for a real successful translation or transfer into using technology is that there must be a real problem that this product or solution can actually solve. Otherwise, it will just be
absolutely.
a failure. So
Yeah.
I think it's actually important to how to say honor that, or actually um, yeah, honor him for
Yeah.
he actually did that transfer so early and at that
Yeah.
age. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you and I both know from I always joke enough arrows in our back from working in this space that you're bang on. If there's no problem, you can push as much technology you want and it's not really going to
yeah,
move the yardstick. And so very, very cool story. And I was wondering if you can maybe pause and bring us up to speed in terms of what forestry looks like in Indonesia, because I suspect a lot of our listeners might be from other geographies where they're like, I have no clue what's
mm,
grown there, what the nature of forestry, the business of forestry is. So maybe, if you don't mind, can you maybe take a few minutes and kind of walk us through what does forestry look like down there? What's the level of technology readiness and embracement?
yeah,
Is there, the same problem elsewhere in the world where there's not enough of a workforce, or is it something different?
yeah, sure. So yeah, traveling the world, meeting companies and forest owners and foresters across the world. I mean, it's easy to think that, oh, it's another country, it will just be exotic and new problems and new blah, blah, blah things. But my conclusion and realization is that it's mainly always the same problems we struggle with in the forestry, no matter which country we're in. It's the same. I mean, it's biology, it's trees. And it really doesn't matter what type of species it is because they are growing in the same matter or manner. You have the industry, which basically looks the same problems everywhere. You have the political side, the legislation, mainly the same thing everywhere. You have the certifications, and it's people, mindset, psychology. It's the same. Um, Forestry in Indonesia, it's short rotation, intensive management, not as intensive as the really high intensive management in Brazil, for example. Here, maybe we have an MIA of about, yeah, between 20 to 30, 35 in average, I would say, or as a norm. Rotation times of 6 to 8 years, maybe. So not as intense as South America, where you can go down to 2.5 year for some of our customers. Um, and yeah, what is quite unique, I would say, in Indonesia is that there are not so many pulp mills. It's basically they have 5 of them, or the biggest part you can count on one hand. But they are consuming a lot. So I mean, the average, the biggest one are producing some 5 million tons per year. So that's a huge scale. That's 12 times more than the biggest one in Sweden, that we're very proud of. So I would say that's maybe the scale, the local scale here can be quite, um, yeah, impressive, even compared to
Yeah.
Brazil.
Yeah. So should we think about it that a lot of, if there's, is it really large companies that are vertically integrated? Is that how we should think about
Yeah.
forestry there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, you have the size of, think of the biggest one, they have about 1.1.5 million productive land, very well integrated. So it's huge. I mean,
Right.
1.5 million times 30 cubic meters per hectare.
Yeah.
That's in MIA. That's, I mean, it's huge, really.
Yeah. So what are they
Um,
mostly growing down there?
it's they have transferred from local species like acacia and so on to eucalyptus today, most of them. Struggling, of course, not so. I would say they're slightly lagging in the clonal, in the genetics and clonal production, but they are, yeah, they are speeding up really impressively. I mean, they are attracting a lot of foresters from South America, South Africa. And Europe. So I mean, it's quite amazing to see how fast they are building up the industry.
Yeah, yeah. And along those lines, how do the public in Indonesia view forestry? Do they recognize it as an asset and they're like, yes, let's make sure that
Yeah.
we're good stewards of the land, the asset, the resource,
Now
but
you
we're
have the
okay with
yeah.
harvesting?
Now you have this, and this is so interesting to see. I mean, the mind. I mean, when I started to work here, I was taught from the Swedish media and Swedish school that, okay, this country or this area, this region is really, really bad. They are just harvesting, cutting down rainforest and planting exotic species. And of course, yeah, that's true. That's a lot of issues, but we have it. I mean, we have it in Africa, we have it in South America, we have it in Canada, we have it in the States, we have it in Sweden. It's native forest that you cut it down sometime, and you made it more. The management has shifted into more intensive management due to financial or economic reason. Um, And I was, yeah, maybe, yeah, sorry to say, but I was laughing this other day when I read the report. The people here and the government blamed some forestry companies for a lot of issues with rain. The heavy rainfall caused a lot of flooding, killing some 1,000 people, which is really sad. It destroyed a lot of villages, roads, etc. And they all blamed the forest industry. because it was plantations, forestry plantations around in the area. And I was laughing because we had the same situation in Sweden last winter. We had a heavy rainfall, one of the heaviest rainfall locally in maybe, I don't know, 100, 200 years. That amount of rain, nature cannot handle it. It will be a flood. And it doesn't matter what you have on your land. The blame was not on the rain or infrastructure or anything. It was on the forestry in Sweden as well. So I was just laughing. It's a different scale, but forestry normally gets the blame because of we grow trees. People see the trees, they see the harvesting, and normally they don't know about the management and the full. Yeah, they don't know, they understand the fully management, the cycle of management of forest. They only see the devastating part we do when we cut trees, basically, I would say, and
Yeah.
they assume
Yeah.
it's bad.
Yeah, they don't understand there's actually science behind
Yeah,
the forestry school there.
yeah.
So maybe
But
thinking yeah.
I must say then, Kevin, of course, we forestry industry. I cannot say it's all good. I see there's a lot of problems as well. I mean, that's one of the things that really annoys me as a forester, that we're not actually following a lot of the scientific papers or scientific knowledge we have about how forests should be managed. That annoys me, and that's one of the things that drives me every day to actually change the forestry on global scale to something better.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
it's not as simple as media put it, blaming the industry. So
Yeah, 100%. I think you and I and all our listeners would nod our heads and agree with that. So you mentioned that Katam was a Nordic focused digital measurement company, and I remember some of the early things I saw. Some GoPro handsets and whatnot. But I know in some of Katam's words that forestry was still relying on the tools our fathers and our grandfathers used, which made
mm.
me laugh when I saw that reference. Um, in your view, obviously passionate about forestry, opinionated about it, worked globally. What do you believe? Why do you believe really now is the time for precision forestry to modernize versus hey, let's just keep doing what we've been doing? Why do you believe now is that point in time?
Well, actually, precision forestry, I mean, it's nothing new. It's I think the first time it was mentioned in literature is some 300 years ago. So it's nothing new. I mean, most of the things we think is new in forestry is not new. It's old. I mean, you have Chinese literature some 500 years after Christ was born, and I mean, or AD. So um, it's nothing new. I would say a lot of this is just buzz also. You have the CEOs, they want to digitalize, they want to talk about precision management and so on, because they think we have problems and you want to blame something, you want to find a solution. And you hear about this, digitalization will solve it, AI will solve it, computers will solve it, drones will solve it. For me, really, I think the main issue what we have is the lack of understanding what we're growing, the lack of connecting the foresters to the real asset we have in companies, which is the growing nature resources. Um, we're using the same tools like our grandfathers. The big difference is that our grandfathers, when they worked with this, they were doing it every day for 40 years in the same area. The forest they were taking care of was quite limited, maybe just a few hundred hectares. Today, a forester, I mean, like in the States, I mean, you can have assets of 10,000 hectares or even more. It's impossible for you to get, yeah, most people don't stay at the company more than 10 years. So you can't build that local knowledge. The area is so huge that you cannot build a local knowledge and understand everything either. And we are so stressed with the data loads, reporting, blah, blah, blah. So we lose track with what we actually should focus on. So I would say what Katam does is we're like, we want to fill the gap somehow between the strategy. the big picture of what we're doing with reality. I mean, we're really good. The industry. I mean, the industry has been driving with uh, the remote sensing, the optimization, the financial calculation, etc. But we have not been as good with keeping up on the operational side, tracking what we actually do and make sure that the quality of what we're doing is good. Because most people are so stressed out, just keep up with the big picture. So in that way, I think with technology, and I mean, there's a lot of good companies or a lot of companies producing good products now, which can actually make sure that we are, filling this gap, fulfilling the precision forestry that we know how to do it. We know that it's needed. We just don't have time to really do it. And I
Right.
think that there is a now is we're coming up. The time is coming up to us, so we actually can achieve this. That's my feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Um,
sure. Yeah, no, lots of good points there, Anton. And thinking of that, maybe that's a good segue as part of this podcast, is we always dive into a little bit of the technology side. So thinking of Katam, it's like, can you explain to our listeners, like you at the start you introduced it and said, we're a forestry technology, not just technology, but forestry technology. So what does that mean to our listeners and viewers? What is the product or the solution, or maybe it's multiple products? Can you maybe
mm,
describe what it is that you have and what it is that you're in charge of selling, I guess, in terms
yeah,
of
yeah,
Southeast Asia and the Pacific?
yeah. So the core technology is that we work with videos from cameras. So the data collection is a normal camera, and you do a video recording, and we want to use the most affordable hardware there is. So GoPro cameras are actually brilliant. They are made for the selfie industry, the action industry. I mean, taking selfies from an action sport events and so on. So they are very robust. They're low priced, waterproof, dust proofed, everything. They are perfect for the forestry. We use them, or we tell our customers to use them, do video recordings in their forests, and we extract the forest metrics from the videos. So we have a proprietary AI solution, like a multi-level AI solution that can extract quality data from the videos. So it's much like the old, our grandfathers, how they did. They were watching forests, and they had knowledge. Sometimes it was subconscious knowledge. They could see, and they could see the forest and make decision based on what they saw, based on like a deep core knowledge over time. We want to achieve the same thing. We want to have our AI, like this old dude, the eyes, the cameras, and then we give this knowledge, the decisions, to the people in the field. That's what we're doing. And the other part is, um, depending on what type of metrics or variables you need from the inventory or from the data collection, the camera should be as close as possible to the variables that you want to measure. So if it's diameter, basal area, biodiversity on the ground, the camera should be close to the ground, preferably by someone just walking in the forest, holding the camera. If it's about stocking, if it's about canopy cover, large scale landscape area, heights, the eyes cannot be on the ground because you can't see that on the ground. You need to be high up. And then it's a camera drone doing video recording, basically, that we use.
Okay. Interesting.
Um,
Interesting. So really, if I heard you correctly, it's, hey, we have an AI engine that can take video as input and we will work our magic and then spit out whatever metrics that you may be interested, whether you're cruising or you're doing some type of an inventory or an audit or assessment. It can go on a drone by the sounds like it, or it could go
yep,
anywhere, I guess, because it's
yep.
on the video side. um having done this long enough, I can already feel some of our listeners on my shoulder with questions. And so always right away, people, just as you mentioned, the psychology of it, right away, I know there's some listeners out there that are
It
gonna
doesn't work.
say,
It can't work
it
in my
doesn't work.
forest.
It's not
Yeah,
accurate enough. The
exactly.
precisions isn't there. So I know you've been asked this 5 million
Yeah.
times, but to address that, get that out of the way for
Yeah.
this podcast, give me the short notes in terms of what are the specs, how do we do, how many times is this
Yeah.
technology being used? Yeah.
It's the same questions every time. Actually, now we don't get those questions anymore in South America anymore, because everyone knows it's shit. That's not the problem. We have other problems. It's working. Just do it. Um, some of our solutions outperforming lidars. It's outperforming TLS scanners. So it's
Wow.
cameras can be really, really amazing. But it's not about precision. It's not about the accuracy. The industry have problem that the data collection we have, it's a lack of data collection in the normal forest inventory or in the normal forest operations in most companies. It's a lack of people to recruit, people to do data collection. That's the real problem. When you use people to do data collection, especially if it's manually data collection, you can't trust that data. Just because it's black and white numbers on a paper, people believes, it's collected by a person, so this is really good. This is ground truth data. No, because if it's handled by a person, you have human errors in the data, and you have Mondays and you have Fridays, you have early mornings, you have gray. The quality of human collected data, when it's good, it's good, but you can't trust it. On average, you can't trust it. And so I would say the good thing with our system, even when it's not perfect, it cannot, the basic technology product or the basic solution we're offering, it's not outperforming a TLS scanner, as an example. It's not outperforming LiDAR, but it's totally outperforming manual data collection on average. And this is the important thing. You need to be able to solve forestry day-to-day problems. You need more data, you need larger sampling, you need the geospatial data, and you need to remove or eliminate human errors in the data. And
Right.
this is what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when you tell that story because I think back to other conversations I've had with people or in the early days, and it was the same thing where this is not good enough. And when you pause and ask the question, well, what are you doing today and how good is what you're doing today? What we're doing now is what's being proposed is miles, light years better than what they're actually doing now. But again,
Yeah.
they get stuck on the wrong things. And so is it safe to say
And
that,
Kevin, I can say,
yeah,
I mean, the normal psychology, the normal onboarding effect, the normal onboarding story we have with every customer is that, wow, this is amazing. It can't work. It's not accurate. And then when we explain that, yeah, here's the papers, here's the proof, it's working. Next question is, but our forest is different. It can't work in our forest. Okay, so we need to prove it. Okay,
yeah,
so
here we go to the
then we do it.
pilots. Yep.
Yeah, you do pilots, and then they say, your data is not correct. And I say, yeah, I've done this for so long time now. When you say our data is not correct because you compare it with your data, no, do it again. Do an audit of your data because your data is not correct.
Yeah.
Most of our customers, they realize they have up to 20% error in their own data. They just don't know about it. They're losing a
Yes.
lot of money. I
Yeah.
mean, we had one
Yeah.
customer, they were losing more than 20% in net present value because they were trusting manual data. Um,
Wow. Wow. Wow.
and you don't realize about the problems until you actually start, yeah, digging into it, understanding why you have this strategic optimization, but the reality doesn't really keep up with that. What is the problem? It's like there is something is missing, and it's actually just, yeah, you're missing data. You're missing operational knowledge of day-to-day operations. It's
Right. Right. And so would it be safe to say that you collect the video and is it uploaded to a cloud platform and then it analyzes it, or is there like a desktop software that runs this, or
no, so we do all of it today is done on the cloud, our server, and this is to make sure when we, for our customers, we are signing a contract of quality of the data, not just data, but I normally say that I'm a forester. I want to be proud of how we will help you to achieve higher yield, higher volume growth, have more money. And for this, we want to own the full quality control of our data. So this is why we do the cloud service today.
Right, right. And so thinking of
Theoretically, it's
that,
possible. I
yeah,
can say theoretically, it's possible to do a near real time or almost real time analysis, but the value of it's not financially correct. Or
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Is there one metric that tends to be more problematic? I should say problematic, maybe less robust might be the better way of putting it compared to some of the others as you think about the different geographies that you service.
yeah. So I mean, normally I would say the most um, yeah, stocking, I would say, or number of trees per hectare, because that's so much influence, because you have normally a limited sample plot. In theory, that's brilliant. The design, the statistical design of plotting and sampling is, I mean, yeah, it's amazing in theory. In reality, it doesn't work because you have people collecting this and they know, there should be 18 trees in the sample plot. So they are always pushing subconsciously. Most of the time, it's not consciously, subconsciously, they're pushing the numbers to achieve what the result it should be. And normally with the plot design, you're missing out the geospatial part of this also. So yeah, I would say stocking. Normally they are underestimating, normally they are overestimating their stocking. Then diameter measurements normally is quite okay with most companies. And then you have the height measurement, which is actually quite difficult to do manually.
For sure.
But if you check for the volume calculation, the most important variable is the stocking, then it's the diameter, and height is not so important because it's just one dimension. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah.
For sure, for sure. And thinking of that, are your customers, collecting data and using the Katam technology, like in anything like certification based or chain of custody or transparency, those types of um, ulterior, equally important things to think about in the business of forestry. But are customers thinking that way right now, or are they still kind of stuck in the let's just measure,
Yeah,
measure, measure?
yeah, that's a great question. That is actually one thing that differs, and I would say it's mainly my experience is because not of culture or region, it's because of the person who wants to try it out. There is a lot of companies who want to reduce the cost. Forestry industry is crazy. We have been optimizing or improving the operations so good over time now, increasing the profit based on reducing costs, which is logical. But I think from that we have lost track on the best thing to increase your income is actually to increase the volume, the yield. I mean, because that's where the money is. But we focus on reducing cost. So it's normally customers want to use our technology to reduce costs because on average, you can reduce 80% of the inventory stuff when you start using our solutions. Um, so you keep the 20% best stuff you have for inventory and you give them the camera and start collecting data. But when they see the result of the data, as I said, the normal reaction is your data is not correct, it's wrong. And then they realize, no, actually your data is correct. And they realize they are losing money. Then when they start calculating on the loss of value due to the resources, the management, then they forget about the cost reduction because then it's all about the loss of value. And I'm sorry, Kevin, I don't think that was answer to your question, and I lost the
No,
question.
no, 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 no. It was just around transparency and certification,
Yeah,
other use
transparency. Yeah.
cases. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Then we
No,
come in. Yeah, exactly. So you have the mindset is cost reduction. Then they realize, okay, okay, we do save cost or reduce cost, but it's actually about improving the volume. But then you have the next step, which is with this data, when you collect it with videos, you also have the transparency because you can review the processing, you have a video, you have a photo of every tree that was measured. And we have a GPS position for every tree. We have a GPS position for every recording and a time tag.
Timestamp. Yep.
Yeah, but we also have a positioning system which is not based on the GPS, but is also based on the forestry fingerprint. So it's almost impossible to cheat with the data collection, which is actually a quite big issue in many companies and regions today. So the transparency in the data, that you can actually do an audit of the data, not on site. You can do it at the office, just requesting us to show you the video, and you can inspect it and see that everything is measured and this is actually the correct place. So the data has been collected on the right place. So the transparency is coming up as a really important thing for companies also, because they can cut out the audit process, which is quite expensive and not so good in reality. It's just a false operation, I would say. But then you also have the traceability of the data, because it's digital. It's no problem to have a flow of the transparency and the traceability of the data and the wood flow. Giving you the opportunity to actually see the growth change, not on just stand level, but on plot level or on tree individual level. So you can see how much the tree is growing between every measurement, between 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. You can see the growth of the tree, how it develops. And this data you can use for growth modeling. So you use operation monitoring, quality control. You're feeding that data into the growth modeling, and you can use that for the yield modeling. And you can start to understand why is not the reality fulfilling really what the strategic optimization said we should achieve. You start to understand the gap, and you can start to move the operations to actually fulfilling the financial or the economic optimization you did, or you do every 5-10 years. So this is the amazing part. Not just changing the tool, but you change totally how you work with data, and you change totally how you work with the forest management as well.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. The data becomes important, and it's not, you have a record there that you could go back and examine it and reanalyze. Yeah, very,
Exactly.
very powerful there.
The
Now, also,
historical data is amazing. No
absolutely.
one is talking about it yet, but the
Yep.
historical data we have more trees measured in Sweden now than the national forest inventory, which is more than 100 years old today. We have more trees
Yep. Yep.
measured
Yep.
day after day, basically. So it's
Yeah.
quite
Amazing.
amazing.
Amazing. Amazing. Recognizing our listeners and audience are also probably going to think about, you already know the question that's coming. What can you tell us about price? Is it a, hey, you just got to call me, or is there a fixed model that you're just like, it's per this acre, or it depends? Is it a
Yeah,
depends type of scenario?
it depends, yeah, because on what type of data you need, the quality, how much quality checks, timelines,
Yeah.
etc.
And how fast you
But
need it back and
but I can
everything. Yeah.
say, yeah, I tell everyone that no, this is not a cheap product. We're not competing with the price. We're offering a quality service, and so far we haven't had any customer with an increased total cost, because we are cutting inventory stuff in most companies by 80%. That is hugely compensating for the increased cost per hectare.
For sure.
But when they start to see the loss they have in the volume, it's a no-brainer. The return of
Yeah.
investment is huge. It's
Yeah.
it's
Pays for itself.
tenfolds. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. And on that note, you've described Indonesia as a turning point, and you've been there. I think last time I saw you was maybe 2 years ago in Australia at a Forest
Yeah.
Tech event, and you were already in Jakarta. Um, so if it's a turning point, obviously there's high momentum, high adoption. And so what's the key learnings of tropical forestry? Was there something special, or is it maybe luck, timing, coincidence, network,
You know,
external shock
Kevin,
driver?
you've been in the industry for a long time also. You get more luck the more experience you get, right? So, but now I would say I would say the big change for us in the company was when we realized that why are we trying to improve forest operations in Sweden? Swedish people, we think we are the best people on the world. We think we know everything, and our industry is the best one. And from early age, I realized that now we have a lot of problems in our industry in Sweden. Let's improve it. Let's change it. And we are taught since we're in the kindergarten that our forestry industry is so important. It's so important. And I realized that, hey, our industry is great with exporting volumes, and we are exporting toilet papers in huge amounts because we're only 10 million people in the country. Of course, we need to export because we don't have internal markets our consumers market is so low, so we need to export. And I realized forestry in Sweden, forestry land in Sweden it's less than 1% of forest cover of the globe. So if we actually want to change forestry on a global scale, we cannot be in Sweden. We need to move out. And being in the tropical areas with the intensive management plantations, I mean, if we can improve things here 1%, that's a huge change on the global forestry scale. And we're not changing 1% here. We're changing, 5, 10% in most companies. So it's that's was I would say that was the thing for us really to realize that just leave Sweden, just leave Europe basically, and be where stuff actually happens. There is a lot of problems in these countries and these areas, of course, but this is where if we can influence here, the value of the change is huge. It's so much more than in Europe or Scandinavia.
Yeah, yeah.
So based on that, the mindset, and then I would say our knowledge and experience, of course. So it's never good luck. It's because the people we are really, and the connections we have, understanding the industry. We have understanding the industry from all levels, from operations all the way up to the boards, talking with the boards on eye to eye level, talking with the foresters on ground level or in the field eye to eye level, and also having the AI core knowledge is super
Yeah.
important, of course.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's amazing because a lot of, as you know, in Sweden, and then you've got Finland and Norway. Like, there's a lot of technology there, but not a lot of companies successfully leave that area. And to your point, Europe as well. So the fact that you guys have done that successfully in Indonesia and Brazil and North America, that kudos to you. Congratulations on that. And
Yeah.
would you say is there a driver? Would you say that has set things on? Is there something that you can think that, oh, there's a pivotal moment, whether climate event or like some shock that really kind of brought the value proposition of Katam Technologies to bear
Uh,
in the market?
I would say, yeah, maybe. First of all, I must say I'm still annoyed that we don't succeed to do good business in Sweden. It's really annoying me. Um, uh, And I must recognize also there are some really good technology companies in Sweden succeeding really, really well. And I'm wondering why, how can they do that? What I'm missing out something. But then I reminded about, yeah, I have my own business I need to run in the other countries. So yeah, keep focus on that. Um, I would say one thing, it's all different, I would say, from situation to situation. But one of the things that attracts Katam to many companies is the buzzword about digitalization and AI. There is someone in the board in the company says, "Oh, we need to digitalize because I learned that at the conference. Oh, we need to use AI." So, of course, that will pull us into the company that because they do some Googling or Gemini or whatever, and they realize digitalization. Okay, there is a company here, Katam, that can do this. Um, or they find out some other company also working with digitalization. Um, but that's correct for maybe a quarter of the situations. But I can't say it's not one unique thing that can explain why this happens.
Right.
In South
Right.
America, it's really now, I mean, you need to be in the industry for some time also to build customer knowledge, or to have customers to know about you and be influenced by hearing competitors using the technology or something. And this, of course, happens in America now, where, I mean, all the major companies have trialed our solution, and many of them are using it, and everyone is coming back. 1 year later, after rejection, they come back and say, "Well, oh, we still have problems. We don't know why. We still have problems. We need to figure out. Let's continue the discussion." So
Right.
there, it's more about understanding the real problems and seeing that other companies are using this technology, trusting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know if it makes sense, but no.
It does for sure. And along those lines, with the billions of trees that you've already analyzed, for diverse forest owners, because again, you're
Mm.
working globally in different forest types. Um, are there any key digitalization trends that you're seeing? Like, obviously, you've touched on AI. Everybody's um, talking about AI. You know what? Last week, the Substack post from Citrini Research basically tanked the markets, right? And this dystopian future 2 years out, and all of us are dealing with that
Yeah.
going forward. But are there certain trends that you're thinking about? I know you're more on the commercialization, sales
Mm.
sides, but again, you've been in the weeds. You've had your hands dirty, boots dirtied with mud. But what are you seeing on the ground right now? Are you seeing other trends popping up?
On technology side, or on the, or are you thinking about in the industry in general?
I think maybe both. Like I don't know if there's any
Yeah,
new ones on the technology beyond what we've already talked about, right? Like AI,
yeah,
you've got drones, handhelds, measurement, better precision
yeah.
forestry. Yeah. So it's what are you seeing?
Yeah, let's start with technologies. I mean, I can see most, if you do a review on technology used in industry, or and in research paper and so on, 95% is about LiDAR. LiDAR is the future, and I totally agree with that. Um, but I'm also shocked that so few researchers are looking into videos, or because there is a huge value in photos, or a camera that a LiDAR cannot fulfill. Maybe in the future, but not really now. Um, the only benefit with LiDAR is that it can penetrate deep into vegetation, but cameras can see more of the details, the qualities, etc., the colors. Um, so that's confusing me, why there is not more research about basically images in the forest industry, or forestry research. Um, but I think there will be a change now, because the AI models becomes more and more easy accessible. So people will start training models, and it's easier to do training on 2-dimensional pictures than 3D dimensional lidar data. That's more heavy. Most likely, there's where we would be very strong, actually, because we know how to train models on 3-dimensional data, and most companies will most likely do it on 2-dimensional data, where we are already at. Um, so I would say that that's on the technology side, really. And of course, the drones will be flying below the canopy. We already did that some 8 years ago, proven that it's working. I mean, that's nothing strange, and people still don't realize that they don't think it's possible, but it's already been done, already proven. The swarm flights of drones already proven, nothing strange. I mean, yeah, and seeing what happens in Ukraine, etc. I mean, I'm not that's already happening, really. But most people in industry, forestry industry, don't know about this. Um, on the forestry industry side, I would say the biggest thing now happening is all the credit systems. Real companies realizing that it's not just a raw material, that is something you can earn money on, but you can actually earn money on other things in the forestry. Carbon credits, biology credits, or biodiversity credits, culture credits, and a lot of this is just buzz. Also, equity money. People who want to dig gold in Klondike, thinking they can do some quick score. But that is also changing the industry. They're starting to realize this. I did a study some years ago on the Swedish forestry, and the normal yearly output from forest land is some, let's say, $200 per hectare a year. That's a normal output you have on timber pulp, and that's it. And I digged into reports and so on and did my own calculations on, but blueberries. What if we pick the blueberries and we sell it, cut the middleman and sell it to the high paying customer, which is China, actually? That would give us some 5 to 10 times higher income from forest land than what we can do from timber and pulp today. And it will be yearly. It would be a yearly cash flow. With timber, we need to wait 80 years to get something, but with blueberries, we could get it basically every year. But no one is building robots to pick the berries. No one is building the infrastructure of selling it. But why? It doesn't make sense. Why do we harvest trees one time every 80 years and nobody's picking the blueberries? So I think this is what will happen with the forest owners. They will start realizing that there's more than timber, there's more than pulp.
These other values. Yep.
Yeah. And this will,
Yep.
of course, stress the paper industry and the consumer industry about, they will be starting to losing the volumes from the forest, and they will start thinking about how they can change their business models, of course, as well.
For sure. For sure.
Exciting
Now in
times, Kevin. So
Oh, it's always exciting times, absolutely.
yeah.
And on that note, you touched on, a little bit of research, and you also touched on Ukraine, and with you, Katam, you've been involved with research projects like Forest Map. You've done drone training initiatives in support of Ukraine, and that's impactful. But where did that come from? Like, is that from the founders, Katam, in terms of giving back? Because I sense in this conversation that from you that there's more to it. Like, yes, there's the business of forestry. Yes, we're a forestry technology. Yes, we got to sell. But I also sense that curiosity in the stories that you tell, and that it's not just more. There's also a bit of giving back from that. So I'm just curious, where does that element come from? Is that a founder thing, or is there a something built into your mission and vision that draws you to some of these other initiatives?
Yeah, I would say there is a personal drive of all the people in the company that we want to do a difference. It's not, I mean, running the business, doing the technology development, of course, that's exciting. But we're all agreeing on that we want to change the world to something better. We want to contribute. We can't do it all, but everyone can do something. And we want to change the industry to something better. And normally the industry will then say, oh, crazy, they want to stop us from doing harvesting. But no, a sustainable forestry is about improving the yield, improving your profit, making sure that you do the right things. And I mean, depending on what goal you have, we will make sure that you are achieving that goal faster or in better return. It's not about stopping to cut the forest, but actually doing the right decision, doing optimized decisions. So I mean, it's a cultural thing. And the main founder, he told me from the day I started, don't be secret to anyone. Give everyone you talk with, give them good ideas, share your knowledge. Don't share company secrets, but share your knowledge. If you find out the solution to someone or someone's problem, tell them about it. Be open. So that was a difficult first year for me to change from being secret to actually just sharing. And he told it, this will come back to everyone. That's share, and it will come back to you. And I'm totally changed as a person there. It's really beneficial for me and for the company to actually being open and sharing good ideas and helping everyone. And this is because it's paying back. And this is why we're doing a lot of research also together with universities and all these projects. It's not about so much for us about achieving to get a new product or something. It's about sharing our competence, sharing our technology and strengths to the universities and to the researchers so they can achieve higher goals, pushing the research further. Um, that it's so super important, because otherwise we and the industry will just stagnate. We will stop
Yep.
growing. We will die. We
Yeah.
need we
Yeah.
need to keep on running, really.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Yeah. You can never do anything alone. Partnering,
no,
networking. You and I both know partnerships are important, and to realize success. So as we look to wind down, well, like we can spend forever chatting,
mm,
obviously. And as we look to wind down, maybe the last question I'd have for you, before getting more details on how people can reach you, is if you were to look ahead 10 years, 10, 15 years, what would you say would be the single biggest difference in how foresters measure, plan, and manage forest? What would be the thing? Maybe it's an aspiration you have, maybe it's a vision you have, or maybe it's part of Katam's roadmap in terms of what it wants to achieve. But what if there's one thing, one single big difference that you would want to see different in 10 years? What would that be?
yeah, I want to see more foresters with dirty fingers and dirty boots from being out in the field. I'm really hoping. Of course, there will be less people working in the industry, but I really hope they are out there and not staying at the office. S- that, yeah, that's super important, to grow with the nature resources, to evolve together with the nature resources, see it. Um, of course, using the technology, but I, we really need to get out there. It's been 30 years of development now where we are just staying in the office today, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense, really.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. We can't lose touch of the people. We can't lose touch of making sure we get out there and experience Mother Nature, Mother Earth, and drawing those experiences back to the work we do. No,
yeah,
love that thinking. And so for our listeners, as we close out, for our listeners that might have heard something that they're thinking, hey, I'd love to reach out to Anton and talk and learn more about Katam and their technologies. What's the best way for folks to reach you? Is it email, LinkedIn, or website, or how should they get a hold of you directly?
yeah, I would say LinkedIn is the easiest way to connect with me, at least, and of course our homepage, which is too old right now, but hopefully when this podcast is published, it will be updated. So
For
katam.se.
sure.
Yeah.
Katam.se or Anton Holmstrom on LinkedIn, you'll be able to find him. So, hey,
Yep.
man, it was great catching up. As I said, I think it was a couple years ago, we saw each other in person down under Australia. So it's great to catch up and have this conversation with you. And I really appreciate you carving out some time to talk with me and sharing your story and that of Katam Technologies and